In news recap this week, we're going to be looking at the upcoming A550 motherboards for AMD AM4 platform, which should be more affordable than current ones. We're going to be looking at also several different types of CPUs that are out there or coming out. Not necessarily Intel and AMD stuff, mind you, some a bit more non-mainstream things. And obviously, we're going to be looking at the latest information from the RTX3090 series Ampere that's going to be launching soon enough. Hello there guys, the PC guy here with the news in tech and gaming for the week, our weekly recap of the most important news in the fields, so that you guys can kind of catch up without having to dig through several different articles or videos. If it looks like I am retired, I've been tackling one of the projects I've had on the back burner, was waiting for some parts, which is the lighting for the shelving behind me, and it's not really done yet, and it has been really irritating for those of you that want to know how it's going, because as you will see, there is one of them that that it says it's special. Just because it's special doesn't mean that you're useful, and considering I don't have a soldering iron and I'm using solderless connectors, the thing is that the wire is kind of crappy quality and it frays a little bit, and the green wire is touching with other wire, and so yeah, it's being a little bit special. Like red works fine, blue works fine, green refuses to work completely, and white has some purple mixed into it. So as you can see, there is, come on, turn off. As you can see, there is some work still to be done there. Only one of the layers is done, not even completely, because one is malfunctioned, as you see, and there's two other tiers to do. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. Project for tomorrow, I guess. In any case, it looks pretty decent. I'm just worried about the top layer because the LEDs will be visible from the camera here, but we'll see how that turns out, and if it's too bad, then we'll devise some way to kind of get around it. So first topic of the day, this was first, I opened it up on my, let's say, list of topics to cover at the start of the week before the actual date, which is the 18th of August. And back then it was not confirmed yet. Now it is confirmed that they are out there. The A550 motherboards from AMD are out. There is a number of them that are featured in this article. Obviously more have been launched in the meantime, but these are the ones that were kind of leaked at the time. The Asus Prime A520MK, there was the A520M Pro 4 from ASRock, and there was more, but by now there's a lot more. What you need to know is that they are a lot cheaper than their other counterparts, the B550 and X570. They do kind of have the trade-offs of less PCIe lanes going from your chipset and stuff. They have less SATA ports, they have less USB capabilities, they have no overclocking support apparently, and they do not have PCIe Gen 4 at all. Buying an A520 motherboard is not something that's really going to miss PCIe Gen 4. However, with NVIDIA's next cards coming out and being able to use PCIe Gen 4, that might not be the most accurate argument. On the other hand, this will probably only matter for the higher end cards, so probably not the biggest of issues. While this is not a news topic, it is something that has come out repeatedly throughout the week on several videos and several opinion pieces from other YouTubers. And it's something that I kind of wanted to call some attention to, which is the fact that Intel has no PCIe Gen 4 available. AMD has on its latest series of Ryzen 3000. And the NVIDIA series, the Ampere RTX3090, they will have PCIe Gen 4. So if there is a chance that these cards will be fast enough and enough bandwidth and everything, that they will possibly saturate PCIe Gen 3 if we're looking at the higher end cards, that is at least. And you might see a performance drop if you do not have PCIe Gen 4. It's not guaranteed yet, so take it all with a grain of salt. Wait for testing, as always. I recommend don't just go and pre-order stuff based on what random opinion pieces you see online. But I just wanted to point it out that that might be the case. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and hold on upgrading your CPU and GPU, I would say, until you know what the situation is, especially if you are going Intel, because there are no PCIe Gen 4 compatible CPUs from Intel yet. So put on the brakes a little bit if you can, and wait to see how that all plans out. The first look, or well, one of the first looks at the Fortnite XZ HP CPU, so one of the high performance GPU, I'm sorry. So one of the high performance types that they are developing. They're not really in the market yet, no news of when they will be or anything else, but they have kind of shared some information about their scaling, for example. They are tile-based GPU architectures, so kind of like the chiplet design from AMD's Ryzen series. And with one tile, you are seeing a score of 10.5K, with the two tiles 21 and four tiles almost 42. So they are showing a very good scaling in terms of scaling with additional tiles. However, we must remember that this is not for a real world thing like gaming. This is a computational workload, like the article details, that works very well in parallel, and much like with current Crossfire and NVLink and etc., they will not scale that perfectly on real world things like, you know, gaming, etc. In any case, Raja Koduri from Intel has kind of shown us the 4-tile chip, and as you can see, the one he's holding, that's actually pretty damn massive for a tile for a GPU. IBM is not a name that we see much lately in the consumer space for several years now, but they're now actually more invested in enterprise and cloud computing things, like the Power 10 processor that they just announced, which is built on a 7nm platform, so they have actually also beat Intel there. They are supposed to be up to 20 times faster than the predecessor, the Power 9, in certain tasks. They are, like I mentioned, built on the 7nm EUV technology. They feature SMT4 or 8 cores with a crap ton of cache, and they also come with pretty high core counts. They are mostly built for a hybrid of cloud and enterprise applications, and also kind of want to excel in the AI field, trying to compete with the ARM, the ARM onslaught that we have seen in the past few years, with more and more ARM-based chips kind of being used in that type of application, and this chip is supposed to try to stem that tide a little bit. A very interesting chip from an AI company called Cerebras, which uses a chip that is made from an entire wafer. So normally a wafer is cut into a number of different dies. It's a whole plate of silicon. The CPUs are etched in there with lasers, etc., and they are cut into many pieces, which are each of them a CPU die or GPU die. In this case, the entire wafer is one CPU, and they just connect it with interconnects to kind of make it all work together because of the size. But in any case, this is also built on TSMC 7nm process, as 2.6 trillion transistors, and they have been a little bit shy on giving us all the details on its improvements, but you can expect to hear more about it in the future, most likely. The article details, for comparison, that the largest GPU, which is NVIDIA's new A100, has 54.2 billion transistors compared to the 2.6 trillion of this monster of CPU, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it will be used for AI research and development. So yeah, that really seems to be a field that is taking a lot of improvements these days. A lot of the news seem to be focused on TSMC or TSMC produced products from other companies like AMD, Cerebras, etc., that we have just featured. But TSMC themselves, they have been having a pretty good couple of years lately, and then they have also celebrated a nice little thing, which is that they have officially made 1 billion defect-free 7nm chips. So these are chips that have been approved and not, no dies with problems and issues. They have officially produced 1 billion 7nm chips. With all this talk that we keep hearing about nanometers, etc., the size of the process node is not the end-all be-all, but given equally good architectures and product developments and all that stuff, if you compare them on a bigger or a smaller process node, the smaller one will generally win in terms of power consumption and on actual performance. So it is an important thing, and it is good to see that nanometer race is still going between TSMC, Samsung, Intel, a bit on the back burner, we might add. But it is nice to see that the yields are up, they are reaching mass production quick, and we can expect that progress to keep going for at least the next few years until we are eventually at the physical limits of what silicon can give us. A bit of a throwback to a few years back when that game, that in my opinion very annoying game, Flappy Bird I think it was called, was removed from the Play Store, and people were trying to sell their phones with Flappy Bird installed for I don't know how many hundreds of euros or dollars. In this case we're talking about Fortnite. It has been removed from the Play Store and the Apple App Store because of conflict between Epic Games and the companies running the Play Stores, because of the cut that the Play Stores take whenever a transaction happens, and Epic Games felt it wasn't fair, so they did a workaround on that. The companies did not like it and remove it from their Play Stores. In the case, you cannot get an iPhone or Android phone with Fortnite right now. If you have it installed, you can still play it, but you cannot go and install it anymore. At the same time, however, Apple and your Google, I guess, cannot really make you uninstall Fortnite from your phone. They cannot remove it for you or anything like that. So if you have a phone with Fortnite installed, some people are trying to sell them on eBay for a crazy amount. People have been posting them for $4, $5, $7, $10,000. I think I even saw a few. And obviously there are not many bidders on them, but it would not be surprising if some people are actually crazy enough to buy one like that. And with this we reach the part of the video where we are just looking at rumors and stuff. Mostly the Nvidia's RTX 3000 Ampere lineup that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, everything points out to. So as usual, leaks keep coming out, benchmarks, real or fake, pictures, real or fake, so take all that you hear from now on with a grain of salt and don't trust it completely. Now this is a mix of old and new news, let's say, because this design had already been kind of shown when that whole cooler leak thing happened, but now we know that it is for the 3090 really. It seems to be quite a big of a chunky boy. It's bigger than the 2080 by quite a large amount, both in terms of width and length and everything, and it is a triple slot card, so it has a pretty chunky cooler as well. It's a triple slot as opposed to the dual slot of the RTX 2080, and this once again kind of shows the difference in size. It's a very blackout card with fans front and back like the designs that we had seen rumored. And yeah, not much in terms of decoration, although this might not be the final product. I'm expecting the RTX 3090 here to be a lot more visible than it is in practice right now. But yeah, it seems like the cooler design might be the one that we got leaked after all. Next up, and again keep in mind that these are only leaks and rumors, nothing confirmed. Apparently the 3090 might cost as much as 3099 as far as the base price goes. There's always a kind of a premium for the Founders Edition, and then the custom cards always get a cheaper variant with, you know, the worse off cooling, etc. And you get all the overclocked ones with the beefier coolers that tend to be even more expensive than the Founders Edition. So we are probably going to be looking at a range, if this is true, of like 12 to all the way probably to the $2,000 for custom cards on the 3090 lineup. The Founders Edition, I'm expecting it will be $14.99 or something if this all plays out. Once again, nothing confirmed. I hope it is not true. I was actually hoping for a price drop this generation, because the last few generations have been pretty crazy in terms of price increases, and I would really hate to see the trend continue. Everything seems to be pointing out that it is continuing, despite my best hopes that being on a 7nm node would bring down the costs for Nvidia to reach a certain amount of performance, but that does not seem to be the case. Whatever savings have been made there have clearly been spent on things like ray tracing, etc. So we seem to be getting a price increase once again. that kind of throws a wrench in the plans of people that might have been planning to upgrade now after kind of a lukewarm reception of the 2000 series, like myself, for example. I had my eyes set on the 3080 Ti, which seems to be called the 3090. Now, if the rumors are true, I might have to rethink that, not because of not being able to afford it, but it's just a matter of priorities. You upgrade one part when you could be upgrading a whole slew of things just with the difference between that part and the one under. So yeah, the 3080 might suddenly seem a lot more appealing considering the difference in price that you're probably going to see. Alternatively, AMD products should come out not very long from now as well, around November most likely. So who knows what Big Navi will bring, if it will be competitive or not. NVIDIA is not the be-all end-all of GPUs, especially not anymore, and I am confident AMD will light some fire under them. Remains to be seen if that fire will affect the pricing when that time comes, but I would probably, if you value your money, I would recommend waiting and seeing what AMD brings to the table. This 3090 is also supposed to arrive with 24 gigabytes of VRAM, so that's quite a chunk, and it probably also explains the difference in price compared to last generation, because it also has a lot more memory in it than it used to. As far as the 3080 goes, the latest rumors show it has a 2.1 GHz maximum clock. Don't get excited here, the previous generation cards also had a 2.1 GHz maximum clock. This is just the max set on the BIOS. In actual practice, most cards, as the article details, will have about 1.7. This is just the maximum limit of what the BIOS will allow, which will never really be reached under normal operating circumstances. As far as other things go, this has been dug up from a UserBenchmark website, which is normally not the most reliable of things to actually compare products, but to spot a product that is not supposed to be there, I guess it has its uses. And it was spotted there as a 10 gigabyte of memory device, an unidentified NVIDIA card, because it's not really the ID is not really assigned to the correct SKU yet, but it is most likely the 3080 that is going to be running with those 10 gigs of memory at around 19 Gbps. The RTX3090 and 3080 apparently have been submitted and approved by the Korean National Radio Research Agency, or RRA, which is one of the kind of trademark steps that we know that a product is, at least a product on the CPU and GPU industry, that a product is on the last stages before being available for purchase, is when it gets these certifications. So we already kind of knew that Ampere was just around the corner based on NVIDIA themselves, but this just goes further around to confirm it. NVIDIA's countdown is fast approaching its end. It's more than halfway done, so in a week and a little bit we are hopefully going to have a few episodes just looking at what NVIDIA announces us. We are expecting the Ampere announcement on September 1st. Not necessarily immediate availability of all the cards. We are thinking maybe the 3090, whatever that is, and the 3080 available at first, maybe a week or so after the announcement, and other cards following in the next few months, going down the stack one by one. So then the 3070, then the 3060, and etc. We have no idea in terms of pricing, other than the rumors that we just saw, and we have no idea how far the stack will go down, if there's going to be 2660, like there was a 1660 now lineup, for example, just pulling out names now. I have no idea. We have no idea if there will be a TI stepping as well, or there has been talk of an ultra stepping instead to replace the TI. We really will have to wait and see. Super is also something that we don't know if we'll see or not. At this point, we'll just really have to wait until September 1st to get some solid information. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Once again, I apologize to those of you that actually follow the channel for the lack of content lately. It's just not really been on my mind to do a lot of videos, and I also do not have a lot of things to make videos on. So hopefully the tech scene will pick up sooner rather than later. I'll have something to talk about. I'll try to play a few games to review and etc. And I really will try to keep it going. Don't worry, the channel's not going anywhere, but it's just a slow period, and eventually it will pick up. So hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button to help us grow and actually get more stuff to work with and do videos with. That's what really helps us, is getting the subscriber numbers up. And I will see you next time, hopefully with the little background improvements working properly and not frustrating me to hell and back. So I'll see you next time.